All right, so you know how sometimes you hear these stories about people who just completely reinvent themselves like later in life?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's so fascinating. And we've got one of those stories today.
Okay.
Grandma Moses. You've probably heard of her.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, who hasn't heard of Grandma Moses, right?
But it's her story that
Hmm.
is just so incredible.
Right. Yeah.
She basically lived a normal life for almost 80 years, right?
Really?
And then
Wow.
all of a sudden, she becomes this world-famous artist.
That's that's incredible.
I know, it's wild. And we've got some great sources here that kind of dive into,
Yeah.
that contrast between her early life and then all of a sudden this explosion of, creativity and fame in her later years.
That's so interesting. So we're really going to see what made her tick, what
Exactly.
got her going.
What was it that sparked this incredible journey, and what can we all learn from it? I mean, that's what we're going to explore in this deep dive.
Amazing.
So just to lay the groundwork, we're talking about Anna Mary Robertson. That was her real name.
All right.
But of course, she became known as Grandma Moses.
Right.
And the sources really highlight this stark contrast.
Yeah.
I mean, 78 years, what seems like a pretty, quote unquote, unremarkable life.
Yeah.
And then boom, 23 years of, artistic stardom.
Yeah, that is a huge contrast. I mean, to just put that into perspective, think about a woman born in 1860.
Right.
I mean, the world was a completely different place back then.
Oh, totally.
The opportunities for women especially were so limited. Societal expectations. I mean, you're basically expected to be a wife, a mother, focus on domestic life.
Really focus on the home and the family.
Exactly, exactly. And then to have this complete 180 at the age of 78, I mean, it's mind-blowing.
And it's not just that she started painting. I mean, becoming a widow, that's a huge life change in itself.
Absolutely. That kind of loss and upheaval, I mean, it can really shake things up in your life.
Definitely.
It makes you reevaluate everything sometimes,
For sure. And in her case, it seemed to have unlocked something, this creative force that maybe had always been there, but she never had the time or the, freedom to really explore.
Right. And that's what I find so fascinating about her story. It's like this hidden talent, this potential just waiting to emerge.
And it did emerge. The sources actually talk about her raw talent.
Mm.
Like it was really there, but how did it develop?
Yeah. Did she have any formal training, or was it something else entirely?
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, was it just something innate, or did her life experiences somehow, contribute to her artistic vision?
Right. And let's not forget, she lived through some pretty remarkable times. From a rural farm life to the Industrial Revolution to world wars. I mean, her life was steeped in history.
It's true. It's like she witnessed so much change,
Exactly. And it makes you wonder how those experiences might have shaped her perspective and influenced her artistic style.
Yeah. Did those tumultuous times somehow, seep into her artwork?
Possibly. I mean, that's something to think about for sure.
And here's another thing that just blows my mind. The sources mention how she, quote, quickly gained recognition.
Really? So it wasn't a slow burn.
Not at all.
It was like people immediately connected with her work.
It seems that way.
Mm.
But why? What was it about her art that resonated with people?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Right. Was it her style? Was it the subject matter?
I mean, it could be a combination of things. Her artwork often depicted these idyllic rural scenes,
Right.
which may have evoked a sense of nostalgia, especially during a time of such rapid societal change,
Like a longing for simpler time.
Exactly. And her style, often described as primitive or folk art, it had this unique charm.
Yeah. It wasn't like she was trying to fit into any existing art movements or anything.
Not at all. It was very honest, simple, and emotionally evocative, which probably resonated with people on a very personal level.
Yeah. It feels very genuine when you look at it.
Exactly.
And, it wasn't just art critics who loved her work. I mean, the source mentions her being featured on postage stamps.
Wow, postage stamps. That's pretty mainstream recognition.
I know, right? That's like a symbol of national treasure status.
Absolutely. So what else contributed to her widespread fame? I mean, it seems like she transcended the art world and became a cultural icon.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I think it is? I think Grandma Moses became a symbol of resilience. This idea that it's never too late to pursue your passion.
Yeah, she's like proof that you can reinvent yourself at any age.
Exactly. And that resonated with people from all walks of life. I mean, she was featured on magazine covers, interviewed on television. Her paintings were exhibited in major galleries.
Wow, that's quite a journey for someone who didn't even start painting until her late 70s.
Talk about defying expectations, right?
It makes you wonder, though, right, if her early life hadn't been so traditional. If she hadn't been bound by those societal expectations, would she have ever picked up a paintbrush?
That's a really interesting question.
It's like, did those years of, domesticity somehow fuel her creativity?
It's possible. Maybe those experiences, while limiting in some ways, also provided a unique perspective on life, on nature, on human relationships.
Right, all those themes that are so central to her work.
Exactly. The sources don't explicitly say, but it's definitely food for thought.
So much to ponder about her story.
Yeah.
So if we were to sum it all up, what would you say is Grandma Moses' lasting legacy?
Well, I think it's multifaceted. As an artist, she showed us that talent can emerge at any age.
Absolutely, and that you don't need formal training to create meaningful art.
Right. And culturally, I think she represents resilience, perseverance, the pursuit of passion. She inspires countless people to embrace their own creativity, no matter their age or background.
I love that, and that's a powerful message for all of us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if Grandma Moses could find such success later in life, what might be possible for each of us? What hidden talents or passions are we overlooking?
That's a wonderful thought to leave our listeners with. Maybe this deep dive will inspire you to explore those quote-unquote unremarkable aspects of your own life. You never know what hidden potential you might discover.
So true. Well, on that note, thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the amazing world of Grandma Moses.
It was my pleasure.
And for all of you listening, keep exploring, keep creating, and never underestimate the power of a late bloom.
Hear, hear.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating deep dive.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, keep those creative sparks flying.
Absolutely.
Bye for now.
Bye.